Hello everyone, my name is Dal, and I am making this Baldur's Gate 3 review for patch 8. The game is supposed to release sometime in 2023, but some rumors say it's going to be coming out relatively soon. Some even have claimed that it might be coming out in 2022 October, but for the sake of the game, I hope they push that back to sometime in 2023, hopefully maybe in August or 2023 October might be good. And I'm going to go why. To give some background as to who I am and why you should care at all, why I say anything about Baldur's Gate, is I am a big fan of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. I haven't played the other spin off games too much, and I'm also really big into Dungeons & Dragons. If you look at some of the videos on my channel, you can see a little bit of D&D content here and there, and mixed with other garbage and animal content I make. You know, the usual. This is meant to be a fairly comprehensive review of Patch 8. It will not contain any relevant spoilers of the story. Most of the content I'm going over is about the first couple hours of the game. I have gone further in previous patches, but to be honest, the game didn't make me want to keep going for mechanical reasons, and also on the off chance that they improve some of the issues I'll be outlining in this video. I didn't want to go too far in the story and burn myself out, to be honest. But to talk about it a bit, the most recent patch 8 had some new features, such as gnomes and bards. So for my video footage, you'll be seeing me playing as a gnome bard, who I forgot the name, so they'll have the generic name. And I just want to talk about the customization options for character creation really quick. They were fairly good. I wouldn't say they're anything to write home about. For the gnome, it's kind of what you'd expect. The character creator in this game is pretty decent. I will note that because this game is relatively demanding, I am playing it on the lowest graphics setting for my current setup, just because that's how it plays the best for me. And I want a nice smooth frame rate while I was playing. To be honest, when I have seen of like high versus low, the biggest difference, like with Divinity, is the lighting engine I found, where the lighting is better and hopefully the hair texture is better. The hair texturing can be a bit off, you could say. One thing I want to point out that I noticed from the previous patches when they released the Barbarian, that they did make sure to add in early game options for the Bard, for special Bard specific talking options, which I think is good. My issue is that with the Barbarian options, the rolls you did had a much more of an effect on the immediate story. It gave you effectively the Intimidate skill for free as a Bard. Whereas it's so far, sorry, as a Barbarian, rather. As a Bard, you don't really have, so far from what I did see of it, there wasn't a whole lot of extra rolls you got to do for, or extra options opened up. Usually it was your character making a joke or adding a bit more lore to, for the player's sake rather than anyone else's, to be honest. Which, you know, it's whatever. It's fine. I hope that they flesh out some more of the class interactions, because like I said, I saw a fair few for Bard and Barbarian, but Druids and other classes I found didn't have as much time to shine, and my previous playthroughs, that is, so, you know. But other than that, it's completely harmless. One thing I noticed when I was playing is that, I'm not too sure if this was a new feature or if it's one that I never used in the prior playthroughs, is the functionality of tab. In my initial testing here that I'll show you, I pressed it a few times because I didn't know what it was supposed to show me. As far as I could tell, it showed me basically the same thing that character view did, but later on, as I will probably see in some footage, I would hit tab and it gives you a general party view, which is actually really good. I remember before I had a hard time distributing loot and swapping gear between my party, and I had to individually open their inventories and put it in this group collective inventory. It was a real pain in the butt, but it seems they've added this interface. I'm pretty sure it's new, where you can swap everything around, which I like. It's a much better version than it was in Divinity, which I appreciate, because in Divinity it was also a bit of a pain in the butt to swap your gear very quickly between your four-man party. One interesting thing on that same topic, though, is that you can't rob people who are temporarily in your party anymore. So we have this Githranki who joins our party temporarily. She's the fighter in the game, and normally you could steal her armor, but you cannot steal her armor. Lae'zel will not let you take her gear. She will not go through the Nautiloid naked and fight alongside of you with nothing. I'm ambivalent towards this change as well. It's more in the Baldur's Gate's theming to let you rob your companions blind and leave them in the dust. But in this game, it makes more sense. You can't do that. There aren't as many companions. There's only like, what, six? You have Galeheart, you have Asterion. I'm sorry, his name's Gale, not Galeheart. Asterion. I think you have Shadowheart. You have, I can't remember his name, but he's the Warlock. I don't never use him, so I don't care. And then you have Lae'zel. So you really only have, four extra people to play around with, even unless you're playing co-op. So I can understand why they didn't want you to be able to do that as much. And it's only a minor issue. Since once you recruit her properly in Act 1, you can happily take all of her stuff and she can't stop you anymore. So, it's whatever. It does make your early game builds a bit less strong. Since what you could normally do is be a Githranki wizard yourself, like be a Githranki and take her armor and wear it. Or just take her armor because it's just kind of good for the early game, but it's not a big deal. You just have to get it later. So, no big deal. You get it before you even get to the first major town, so who cares? Only me a little bit. But beyond that, I do like how they implement how the Bard works. So you have your Bardic Inspiration level 1, and I like that all of your options that would normally be reactions or in the middle of your turn, you get to use those automatically if you click a button to automate them, which I like. I think that's a good system to do it, though I wonder if it would have been better just to do a Scholastic Crown of the Master thing where it pauses the attack and say, hey, do you want to Divine Smite? Or hey, do you want to use your Bardic Inspiration? Also, no Paladins yet. What the heck? Where are my Paladins? I don't want to be any of these classes. I just want to be a Paladin. The game's like, no. I can't even be a fake Paladin by multi-classing as a fighter and a cleric, which is a bit of a whatever, but that's a side tangent. One thing I've also noticed in some of these early cutscenes, and as well as some of these other transitions, is a bit less texture popping actually for the characters. In this intro cutscene here, where the Goblin and the Drow spot the Nautiloid crashing, I found that the textures didn't pop in nearly as badly. There still is some pop in, but it seems a lot less bad. The game also, in general, loads a lot faster. I'm playing on a normal hard drive, not an SSD, so my load times will be a bit longer because of that, but I found that in between other betas I played, it is quite a bit better. Something else I liked as well, they've added more background details to when you're actually moving around. Like, you can actually watch the Mind Flayer and the Cambion fight, though looking into these scenes can cause some weird camera bugs, which I'm not a big fan of. I also like that in the tutorial that there are a lot of puzzle hints that they leave around for you. I am not a big fan of obtuse puzzles in any game, and I do like that they make it very clear for the most part what you're supposed to do. When I did play prior, I remember there being a puzzle in the Goblin Stronghold in its basement that leads to the Underdark. That was a little bit obtuse, only because they tell you what to do, but they don't tell you what the orientation is the issue. I don't get that far in this playthrough, and I'll explain why a bit later once we get there. And yeah, no, once you get Shadowheart, which you can get now. Last time I played, you couldn't save her, but now you can save her, which I like. And she will comment on it later. You can't rob her either, so they didn't forget that. They're temporary, rented companions, and I will get another temporary companion later on, along with the little Intellect Devourer, who obviously can't have gear, who you also cannot rob. So I think it's just a system they added for temporary party members when you have 5 or 6 people with you. So you can't rob these NPCs. They don't trust you enough, obviously, with their gear, which I think is fine. There is a little bit of weird in-game pop-in from time to time, though. Still, I hope they can fix that for a hard drive, but it could be an issue of you just need to have SSDs for this game to run as well as possible. What I also like that you can do, I've never been one to cast too many buff spells in these 5e D&D games, because I find they're kind of bad. The AI is really good at making sure to knock off your concentration somehow, or just targeting individuals with concentration on them, which is good on the AI's point. I think they should do that to make casting spells like Bless less powerful. But I am happy that you can bardically inspire the Mind Flayer in the battle and make him more powerful. I kind of wonder if you can actually kill the Cambions with your party in this point in the game, because the Cambions actually have rather low reflex and will save, so you might be able to burn them down, but I couldn't quite say. Beyond that, I do like that depending on who presses the button up top, you're supposed to press the end tutorial. It shows in the initial cutscene who pressed the button being in the scene. And then the rest of your team, I guess, is in the back of the hall, they presume, or not close to be in that like camera angle, so it's okay you don't see them. I would have liked them showing Lae'zel or Shadow, whoever didn't press the button, getting flung out, because very clearly you all didn't land in the same place, or if you did, Lae'zel just woke up early and left, you know? Don't really give an indication of that. Perhaps when they add a ranger class to the game, you could follow her tracks. I think that'd be pretty cool. Let's see. I do like another feature, because I like alt-tabbing when I'm loading screens in game with these. I do like that in the bottom of the, of your taskbar, it does show a green indicator showing how much is actually loaded. I like this feature. I can't really show it to you with how I'm recording this, but it's useful. It's nice. I like it. It's your typical green progress bar that Windows adds to most of its UI nowadays, so I'd say it's pretty good. I like it. You also get a full heal at the tutorial, which I guess is fine. I guess now comas are long rests, maybe. Whatever, who cares? One interesting mechanic, though, with long rests is you actually need supplies to do a long rest. All the food items in the game and some of the drink items provide you a resource called camp supplies. And to get the benefit of a long rest, you must utilize at least 40 camp supplies, otherwise you're just pushing time forward. Because I didn't play the game for super long, obviously I didn't get to see the full impact of spending these campaign supplies, but it is an interesting mechanic to prevent you from just spamming rests, but as I'll get into later when we get into a deeper dive into combat, I don't think it's very well balanced either way. Not in the terms you'll be screwed, but rather the enemies don't throw enough of a challenge to you where you would actually need to abuse long rests like you would in Baldur's Gate 1 or 2, for example. I will admit, when I was running around initially, I didn't realize that Shadowheart was nearby me. I was used to her spawning up by the entrance to that dungeon, or the back entrance, I have to say, and she wasn't there. They moved her closer to you, actually. I'll collect her later, but I missed her initially. I think the game could have done better of making it very evident where she was and drawing your attention more to her, because that first fight, the Inklauer, I die. They kill me. You can't really beat them, and your health pool is so low, and Intellect Devourers are, well, actually, low monsters in 5e are just kind of, like, strong in general. From money and, well, monsters generally being more durable early on compared to player characters, does make it very difficult probably to play this game solo, but it's probably still possible with the right class and race combination. But once I do get Shadowheart, killing these guys is not an issue. She's really good. Clerics in 5e and in these kinds of video games are just very good in general. I don't see how anyone would play this game not picking Shadowheart unless they themselves are already a cleric. But that's fine. I also find out that we, as a bard, can play music. And I think this is really good. It doesn't do anything, from what I can tell. But it does let you play some songs, and your character does actually play the music and zoom in and listen. And I really think this is a good collector's thing, because when you pick a bard, you get to pick your starting instrument. But the game does inform you that there are other instruments you can collect, which I think is a great detail. Larian does a really good job of integrating music into their gameplay and into their combat. And this is just very useful for furthering that integration as a bard, where now you can kind of play it out that you're playing the battle music, you know? And I really like this. I really hope that they give you the ability to either recruit mercenary-esque NPCs, like in Divinity, to fill in your party slots if you don't want to use the origin characters or the, proper pro tags and want to make your own team. Just so if I don't play a bard, I can guarantee that I do have a bard, just for the roleplay aspect of it. It is very cool. But yeah, I do like that when you talk to Shadowheart, you also get another a bard versus action option. I have it in my script here, which I like. I do like these options existing.
Not to worry.
I find in older RPGs they very rarely give you class options because they either assume you'd be multi-classing or they'd assume that your class could change in some way that would make it very difficult to keep up with it. Like in Baldur's Gate, you could dual class as a human, or in Neverwinter Nights, you could just pick a new class whenever you want to, and level up to 4 classes at once. Even more, I think, in the original, but I can't quite remember. And I will say, the voice acting, very good overall in the game. One thing that bugs me from a role-playing aspect is when you get Shadowheart and you meet Astarion, I dislike that Shadowheart doesn't try to help you if she likes you. Because I did the option so far to have Shadowheart like me already. You know, I saved her from the Nautiloid, I talked to her, I didn't try and rob her. You know, I was being a nice person, and I figured we'd be friends. Well, not friends, you know. She liked me more than the rest, but nah, she was willing to just watch Astarion fucking kill me right there and then. I do dislike her not saying something, or her having an option to, like, I don't know, cast a spell or something. I know she doesn't have Hold Person yet, but that'd be a cool later game interaction and like conversation to cast Hold Person in conversation. You do get the ability to read people's mind in conversation with other abilities later on, which I'll get to. But I hope they add more in conversation spell use. They also use Charm Person in conversation as well, which I think is very good.
I saw it during whatever just happened.
There is some weird pauses when you kill certain NPCs in the game, such as civilians. And the game really likes telling you that you can take short rests and long rests after basically every encounter. I don't like it. The game, I understand, is tutorializing itself, but I think it could do a better job introducing the concept of a long and a short rest. And I think they should have done that, a short rest anyways, in the tutorial, where they have all these regen stations that, like, make it so you can't die. Instead, maybe in the halfway point, when, like, you know, you're about to go to the bridge, maybe, like, even though it's a bit out of character for her, maybe Lizelle is like, hey, before we get in there, maybe we should catch our breath real quick, you know, make sure that we're ready to go. And she tells you that you could take a short 10-minute rest real quick. It's dangerous, but we kind of have to make sure we don't die. It's a tactical choice. Or maybe Shadowheart might bring it up. I think the issue with that is maybe in the previous battle, they didn't make you use your action surge, or sorry, you don't have to use your second wind, which would recharge on a short rest. But without the combat's balance, it's very likely you won't need to use your second wind. So, and also Shadowheart gets nothing from a short rest either, I'm pretty sure. So, unless you're playing a Warlock or something, or another class that benefits from short rest beyond healing, it could be hard to tutorialize. They could fix that though, by just having you have a party member who will always benefit from a short rest, such as a Warlock, like the guy, I can never remember his name. I never use him. I think his name is Will, actually. But I don't use him in my little playthrough here, and I don't really plan to use him. I just don't like Warlocks. The thing against him. He's a cool character. Speaking of a not-so-cool character, I fucking hate Gale. He's my least favorite character in this game. Like, I don't like his personality. I don't like his, like, character story. There's just nothing about him I like. I don't think I've heard about anyone who likes Gale, or even uses him. I did try using him a little bit, but Gale is just absolutely trash, I feel, in this game. And you might say, what? He's a wizard. Wizards are really OP in D&D. And in the tabletop game, wizards are fine. The issue with him in this game is not anything to do with his abilities. His spells are good. He has good spells. And you can give him better spells when he levels up. And you can even swap out your spells, I'm pretty sure, too, to make sure you have the best spells possible. My issue with Gale in this game in particular is how the AI functions. Because how the AI in battle functions is when they are going to do their turn, they understand this is their one time to shine. They gotta let it rip, and they will cast every spell or every ability they have to try and kill you. And they will use these abilities in usually the worst way possible for, like, them. They very rarely have, like, a tactical moment where they're geniuses. They usually fuck it up really badly. And what that means is because Gale has such low HP being a wizard, what generally happens is the enemy team has some wizard or something who has a sleep spell. They will sleep Gale, causing him to miss his turn until you have a chance to, like, push him or something to wake him up. And then before his turn comes around again, he'll probably get up again. And because a lot of CC in the early game revolves around your HP, Gale is just susceptible to it. Now, to be fair, at this stage of the game, most characters are going to be hit by the CC, and it's impossible to get around one person getting slept, but because Gale has the least amount of HP, he will always be the one being slept, which just makes him kind of not very useful. Also, with how glitchy the game can be in places, his spells don't land sometimes. And not because you missed their AC if they rolled well in the saving throw. There's a later encounter that I'll point out where I'll point out when I get there. But I just hate Gale. I don't like him. I think you should not use him when you're playing the game until later in the game where he's higher level and can cast some defensive spells to make sure he doesn't just get fucking bodied. Because in the early game, he's just kind of bad. Everyone else is just so much better to use. Especially like Asterion or Shadowheart and Lae'zel. Like, Lae'zel can like heal you and push people and just kill stuff. As long as you're playing a spellcaster of some kind, like I am the Bard, you will never want to use Gale, I feel. He doesn't fit well into your party, and he just kind of sucks, you know? And there's no other way to put it. That's just my feeling. Maybe I just had a bad experience of Gale, but he can just go live at that camp with everyone else who I collect who isn't very many people because you get all the party members pretty early on. But that's fine. One thing as well on that prospect is the game doesn't like letting you swap party members without ending the day. I didn't find an option to leave camp without going to sleep. And sometimes I might just want to swap my team without going to sleep. Maybe it's a balancing thing. Maybe it's like, ooh, if you want to get Gale for this dungeon he's really good in, you better waste one day for him to, like, you know, wake up and come back from camp. Maybe that's the lore reason, is that it takes so long from you leaving camp that by the time you get back, it's the next day. But whatever, you know. I don't think that should be a thing. Let me swap them out. If I have an option to go to camp, let me just go to camp. Let me get my dudes. Let's go. Don't waste my time. You also kind of slide weird when you quick save sometimes. A bit funky, but whatever.
We must locate a creche.
And the zombie awakening cutscene in this dungeon here is a bit. I like it. I'm happy they show the zombies are awakening when you walk into this tomb, and I do like that you can use this little choke point here. What I dislike, and this is why I end up dismissing Gale from the rest of this playthrough, is when I cast the grease spell in this doorway, it just doesn't work. I think he casts it above the doorway, and it's like in the ceiling now, which is not useful, like, at all. It's very, like, useless, in fact. This made me not want to use Gale, because he doesn't offer much in a close quarters battle. And I find most battles you get in this game are close quarters battles. There's not a lot of value in a ranged character. Save for Asterion, who is a very good character, and if there's going to be someone who uses range, it's going to be him. Because he does way more damage. I can quick action hide Asterion, and that guy far away, he can't fucking see me anymore. And now I'm just doing more damage than him. If I need to control the enemy team, I just won't, to be honest. I haven't seen a need to do so yet. Which you might say, well, you're being bad. Wizards are to control the battlefield. Yeah. But in this game, with how crowd control works, if my grease spell gets stuck in the wall, my sleep spell can only CC one guy, and the AI is programmed to immediately, like, do everything in their power to wake them up, which effectively makes it so it stuns two guys, so it's a lot bit better, actually, to be honest. It's not worth it, you know. In older editions of D&D, you could stun a guy for like a week, and that CC was much more valuable. But in this game, I don't feel it's that powerful. Late game, where I get spells like Hold Person and other similar abilities that, you know, my enemy team probably can't really react to or do anything about, then all of a sudden Gale gets a lot more stock, you know, he gets a lot more powerful. But right now, nah, man, why would I want to use him? I'd rather use anybody else. So he gets dumpstered at this point to be replaced back with a... I think I had him swapped out with a Lae'zel at the time. I swap in somebody, though, at the very least. I'll tell you that much. Because I fucking hate Gale. He's terrible. But at this point, I was starting to get a bit bored of the game, to be honest. I do like, as I'm approaching this encounter by the Druid's Grove, that I can hear the echoing of the conversations of them yelling and struggling a little bit. I like that.
What's going on?
But I am not a fan of my party members just, like, talking to me so much in this game.
Where is the druid?
Yes, I know I'm playing a role-playing game with, you know, party members who are important, but I find they talk to you, like, a bit too much. I know I complained about Shadow Art not interfering when Asterion talks to you, but that makes sense for them. But I find sometimes they just, like, go off on you, and they'll just interact with you. And I'd rather have the option to say, hey, shut up, I'll talk to you when I go to camp. Because that's when I want to talk to them. I want to do the Dragon Age thing where I talk to them all at once and, get it out of their system. I don't like it when they talk to me when I'm on the road, because I want to focus on getting somewhere rather than fucking some companion talking to me and just speaking at me when I don't want to speak to them right now. I want to focus on getting to point B. But when I'm camping, hell yeah, let them talk to me. And at this point, after I have gotten into the Druid camp, I wanted to experience a fight with my level 3 characters to get some footage for it. Because I was like, let's see how good we get level 3. Level 3 is when most characters in 5e get powerful. It's when you get all of your, special abilities, all the unique facets of your class, as well as your class specialization. And I will say, it's a good point. Clerics, notably, have already gotten this, like, power boost early on. They get level 1 in the Addicted Domain. But everyone else gets level 3. I don't pick the spell casting options for either of them because, like I've said, most of the spells they get aren't going to be very useful to me. And from my experience, Eldritch Fighters, Eldritch Knights, and Arcane Tricksters aren't that great. They're okay. But I'd rather get a Battle Master and a Thief, to be honest, to utilize that sneak damage and utilize that superiority die. Which, after utilizing them, and also Shadow Art exists, she casts spells. I pick College of Valor because I want more of a fighty bard, but it doesn't end up working out that way too much. It's still useful, though, and I think later on it'll be better. And, yeah, I go to town of the Druids. I didn't realize until talking to Zelvor, the Tiefling, that this is kind of a quest you're supposed to do in some respect. But there's so many of the Druids, I figured a full frontal assault like this would go really poorly, and I won't show you the whole fight, but I'm going to tell you right now that this encounter is incredibly underwhelming. You might not have noticed it, but only the first half of the Druids even, like, react to me killing people. And they don't attack me at their full force. I, like, go in there, I'm fighting them pretty recklessly. I do use a few of my own Control A Bard spells to give them negatives. And these Druids, they got a lot of health, but they fucking die, like, hard. And I'm able to rip through them pretty easily. I kind of forgot. I thought I swapped fucking Gale out, but I think I chose not to. For some reason. I thought I did in my brain, but I totally didn't. But in this fight, Gale does actually prove to be a lot more useful with his Grease spell. And it did show me that at level 3 is probably where he starts getting pretty good, because now I can cast Burning Hands into my melee group. I picked Evocation for him, by the way. And now I can cast these offensive evocation spells through my party and hit the enemy, and that's really solid. And I found that was useful, and he was able to crowd control a group of Druids for most of the fight, so maybe I get a bit too much, pain. I still hate his guts. And I probably should have just used the Asterion instead, but you know what? It is what it is. Sometimes you get pleasantly surprised. Sometimes you record the footage like weeks ago and you forgot how it went. And your script was not written to accommodate it. But you know what? That's just how it goes. This fight's incredibly easy. I take a short rest afterwards, and I kill the rest of the Druids. The AI just isn't good at comprehending how to fight you very well. They don't use their abilities very well. They just, like I said, throw them at you. And they don't do it with level of tacticalness that allows them to be a challenge. I walk in here with no strategy and just blow them up. And it's really disappointing, to be honest. How come the Archdruid didn't come running out the door when she heard all the violence outside? Why didn't the Tieflings come out? I'm murdering innocent civilians. In fact, I even killed some of their people, too. By accident with Burning Hands. But they're not coming. No one's coming. I kill all of them. I even kill the injured birds and shit, too, because you can't rest until they're dead. So I kill every single one of them, and then I take a long rest, and I'm figuring, oh, the Archdruid, they're going to be tough, right? They're probably going to attack me on sight when I enter into their grove. No, they don't. They talk to me. They act as if I did nothing outside. They don't even, like, comment on all the fighting they heard outside. I murdered Volo, and they didn't care. They're just like, oh, howdy there, adventurer. Oh, we're having a weird domestic dispute with the Archdruid and their evil snake. And they're gonna go and, kill this tiefling shot. Of course, convince her not to, earning me some good boy points, the tieflings. And then they give me a quest, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill you too. And I do. I kill the Archdruid, I kill all of the druids who would attack me. Not even all the druids attacked me when I attacked the Archdruid either. That didn't make any sense either. I know they don't like her very much. Like, she's kind of a bad Archdruid, and replacing the real cheese while he's out on his goblin adventure. But, like, I feel like they should defend her. She is the Archdruid after all, yet they don't help her as much as they should. And then she, like, wild shapes into, like, really shitty creatures. Like, she's meant to be a stronger, one level higher druid, and she's, like, weaker than the rest of the ones I fought already. I end up just slaughtering these guys, even using the guys outside, which was disappointing. This is the boss fight of this theoretical dungeon. This really short encounter I had. But it was all over too easily. Then there were some weird druids who didn't fight me initially, who I killed as well. I killed the druid healer who would poison you, and my party doesn't care. I think that bugs me the most, actually, that my party doesn't care either. Because I'm the team leader. I'm the one who ordered them to kill all these druids, but no one cared. Like, for some of them, like Asterion, he wouldn't care. Shadowheart probably doesn't care. You know, Lethal, who cares? But, like, Gale seems like a decent person for the most part. He's not the best human being, and I hate his guts, but he just brushed it aside. Maybe he's worried that his 3d6 HP isn't going to stand up to the murder hobos in the party, and just rolls with it, but, like, he should say something about it. Anyone should say something. Lae'zel should be like, oh, you wasted our time killing all these weak and pathetic druids. We should go to the, however you say it, to go find one of my healers and get these tadpoles out of our heads. You know, and Shadow like, oh, we could have done this a lot more stealthily, you know, or some shit like that. But no, it's just like silence. You build the bodies, get some wyvern poison from the druid who's going to kill you with it, and you just proceed on. You go back to the tieflings. I've killed 5 of them. They don't care. They don't know. They don't even, like, they treat me like a normal person. I just killed, like, 20 people down there in cold blood for no reason. And at that point,
I heard what happened.
It's like, why would I...
If the druids
why do I want to play in this world where there's no consequences? I did something abhorrently evil, and I should be punished for it. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 understood that. The fun of being evil in a game like this is to have a reaction to your actions. People shouldn't want to talk to you. People should want to, like, avoid you as much as possible. People should hate you for what you just did. I just left these tieflings completely defenseless. They were relying on the druids to protect them from the goblins who were raiding this place. Because without the protection of the druids, they just get slaughtered. But yet, when I kill their protectors, it's like nothing happened. The only druid their leader Zevlor comments on is that I killed the Archdruid, and he's happy I did because she's an asshole, which does make sense. But I stopped their ritual. And I killed every druid. So now they should be freaking out. They're stuck in a fucking keep with a mass murderer. But they don't care. In Baldur's Gate 1, you can kill everyone in Winthrop's Inn if you want to. And if you kill everyone in Winthrop's Inn and drive your reputation down to a low enough value, everyone inside of Candlekeep Inn will kill you on sight. Most of the guards in Candlekeep can't beat you. But there are characters in there that can, like your foster father Gorion, or the other high-level wizards there who will just blow you up. You can kill everyone there, though, if you want to, and soft-lock the game, since you can't leave the keep unless Gorion is still alive. But the game has then punished you for being a murder hobo by not only killing everyone there and soft-locking the game, but making you feel bad in a way as well. But at the same time, the game also involves save scumming, as does this game. So I can do this in both games. I can slaughter all these innocent civilians see the negative outcome, and load my old save and pretend like nothing happened. Which I could do in this game as well. But this game actively encourages you to murder Hobo. There's no punishment for me killing everyone in this town. In fact, I only got rewarded for it. I found magical items. With my meta knowledge that this druid healer was a dead end, I could kill them without any consequence in the immediate sense. Maybe later in the story, there'll be some consequence. Maybe if I find the Archdruid in the woods, killing the goblins and shit, maybe if I find him, he might not want to talk to me anymore because because the squirrels told him that I killed the druids. I hope that's the case, but I lost all my desire to play the game at this point, so I won't find out. And I don't intend on finding out until they make some further improvements to how this game handles your misdeeds. And I think the worst case of this is this interaction I had with this goblin prisoner, where I convince these people to leave, to go away, which is fine, I don't care about that, it's fine. And I break out the goblin prisoner. Now, if I was smart, I'd be sneaking around, I'd use my party members to distract the NPCs while Gobbo made their escape. And you could totally do that, and it wouldn't be too hard, and it'd be fine. Maybe you'd bribe a few guards here and there. But nah, when anyone sees the goblin, they walk up to him and go, "Whoa! You're walking around town that one of them then are evil aligned goblins who attacked us." And then you have the option to be like, don't worry about it, it's a goblin. Or, here's $50, or, charm person. And these are reasonable options for the most part. I don't like the idea of bribing someone to look the other way if you're a goblin. But, that's not too out of character either for these tieflings, maybe, so who knows, right? It's fine. My issue is that, I'm able to walk through most of town, right? And the game has a system where you get to pick who's doing the talking for the most part, and my group is still a group. We're still walking together. And my plan was, my high charisma bard is just gonna spin a crazy tale, right? To get the goblin out.
Persuasive enough.
But I can't do that, because the character who has to make the interaction is the character the NPCs arbitrarily walk up to, which could be anyone, including the goblin, who they will talk to. Despite this, I was able to silver tongue / bribe my way to just about the front gates when the merchant out front, who was chilling there, was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I fail my persuasion roll, and they immediately attack us. They go first, they cast Burning Hands, instantly kill the goblin. Rip Gobbo, Gobbo is dead. But what bugged me about the encounter is why the fuck does this merchant know Burning Hands, and why is he a wizard? Maybe there's some hidden lore I missed, that there's a fucking wizard over here? Either way, I fucking murder his ass. And no one cares. The druids, I could maybe understand. Maybe we were just far enough away that no one heard it. And I killed all the witnesses by accident, so no one saw it either. But this guy's in the middle of town. He's a merchant. There's like tieflings a stone's throw away. Will, the Blade of the Frontier, this hero who fights bad guys, canonically. He should have heard this guy's death scream. But no one came. And that really killed all my desire to want to play the game. I will never be punished for being evil. I will only be rewarded for being evil. I will be praised for being a good guy, quote unquote. But why would I want to be a good person in a world that does not care about the consequences of my actions? A world where I can get away with straight up murder, and no one cares. Even if it's the most blatant, upfront, broad-faced slaying in the world. No one in the world cares. Which has me to call this game in its current state a game of no consequence. This game is still in early access, and this game is still being developed. But for the most part, what's being developed is the later stages of the game. Will they go back and fix these basic interactions? Probably not, because these are the same interactions you got in Divinity. And this was the same reason that I could never bring myself to beat those games either. The world simply has no consequence. You can slaughter everyone in the starting town of that game, and in fact, it's optimal. You should. You should kill everyone there. But no one cares beyond that. You are not a criminal. You are the hero. These other individuals are simply NPCs in the world. and their lives never mattered for the context of the game. But I can't get myself immersed in a world like that where my consequences don't matter. Where I can do this. I think if they wanted to have your consequences for your actions not matter, then they should have simply restrained my ability to act. Don't let me murder druids or civilians in the game. Don't let me kill or attack people without first talking to them. Make it be an option only unlockable by talking to them. Prevent me from killing random nameless characters. Because if you don't want their lives to matter, then I shouldn't be allowed to kill them in the first place, because it's a waste of both our time. And that's where I get to the point in this video of, I don't think this game is, I don't think this game has the best, future in line of it at this current stage of development. I do want them to succeed. I do want them to make a game that stands up to the legacy of what Baldur's Gate was and is, but at this point, I'm not feeling too confident they can do that. But there is still time. There is still another year at least, according to their website. I hope they use that year to the fullest. And I hope this review helped you. I would not recommend you buy this game in its current state. I would not recommend buying this game on sale either. I would only recommend you buy this game after it's been released and after it is in a state where the game has the bare minimum features of an RPG for the genre it resides in. If it wishes to be a CRPG-like experience, then it should include the consequences those games employ. And until it does, I cannot recommend the game. I also believe that the combat system needs to be a bit overhauled in terms of difficulty. They should definitely add some difficulty sliders, and like with Divinity 2, they should really go in and make sure those encounters are difficult, because right now, they're not. I only ever died fighting an Intellect Devourers at the very beginning of the game, and that's only because I was freaking blind. But that is my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, tell your dog about it, and I'll see you guys next time. What I'll be doing next time? Who knows? But again, hopefully this review helped.